It's Friday, November 19th, and time for your Barbados Today Morning News Update. Religious organizations have strongly condemned Humanists Barbados for urging government to remove all references to God in local law books and scrap prayer in public schools. Emmanuel Joseph tells us more about the reaction of the faith-based community on the issue.
The Muslim community strongly disagreed with the suggestions made by the Humanists Barbados and defended the status quo. Secretary of the Muslim Association of Barbados, Suleiman Bulbulia, told Barbados Today on Thursday that there is no need to remove any reference to God in the local law books or to remove prayer from schools. In fact, he says there should be a greater thrust at bringing more spirituality into the society and anchoring citizens to the faith, beliefs, and spiritual moorings. The Muslim community leader suggests that this is what is most needed, especially at this time when many are facing severe life challenges and are trying to cope. 3 days ago, moments after hosting a webinar entitled Freedom of Thought in Our Republic and Beyond, No Monarch, No Massa, No God, Farley called for a sharp shift away from centuries of religious principles and dogma characteristic of colonialism as the country prepares to transition from a constitutional monarchy to a parliamentary republic. Among the suggestions from the non-governmental organization were the removal of all references to God in the local law books and the scrapping of all forms of prayer in public schools. The human rights body said Barbados has a secular government and is home to diverse religious and non-religious populations, so using the term God is divisive as it begs the question as to which religion is being referred to. The Barbados Evangelical Association offered a swift response, arguing that any attempt to dialogue with the humanists would be a waste of time since them and the church begin their respective positions from two opposing premises. BEA Vice President Dr. Winston Clark noted that increasing secularism has been, to some extent, responsible for the decadence in the society.
In other news, people attending celebrations leading up to Independence Day on November 30th, when Barbados makes the transition to republic status, will adhere to strict COVID-19 measures. Word of this from Chief Medical Officer Dr. Kenneth George, who said that those in attendance at the many events will be required to present a vaccination certificate or a recent rapid antigen test to gain entry.
The Ministry of Health's responsibility is to, wherever possible, try to keep the public of Barbados safe. As you know, we are in a COVID environment, and therefore there should be no mass gatherings of persons at any of these events. Many of the events are for invited guests, and those specially invited guests will be required to either be vaccinated. If they are not vaccinated, they will be required to have a rapid antigen test within 24 to 36 hours of attendance of a function.
Dr. George also encouraged Barbadians to view the events from the comfort of their homes as a matter of safety.
Persons on the periphery of these events who still want to be involved in the celebrations are asked to comply with the basic protocols which we have told Barbadians for long periods. There will be areas for hand sanitization. I understand we will be able to distribute masks at many of these events. There will be temperature checks. So therefore, for most persons, I would say in a COVID environment, stay in the privacy of your home and enjoy the celebrations. For the few persons who venture out, please be mindful that when in public spaces, you must at all times follow our basic protocols.
One of the major hotel brands, which will soon enter the Barbados market, will have a major link with the local agriculture sector. That's according to Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Tourism Investment Inc., Stuart Lane, who disclosed that the over 450-room Wyndham Grand Hotel at Sam Lod's Castle is being positioned to attract more visitors to the island during the slower summer months. Speaking on a Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association panel discussion, Lane disclosed that officials were busy finalizing deals with farmers and other sectors.
And we are actually speaking to farmers, we are speaking to educational institutions, and we are absolutely going to be buying from the community. Once the standards can be met, we'll help you meet the standards. Why? Because we want to have as deep an integration of this industry as possible to address the concerns of leakage. Because it makes no sense talking about 70% of your foreign currency being earned from tourism and 50% going back out to buy imports. So if we can fix that backward and forward linkages issue, which Sam Lords will be proof of concept, we're designing it for that purpose, then I think we can create a model that can be used elsewhere. Next level, sustainability. Again, I'm not leaving the topic. We are actually working with parties to have a solar farm that will generate, we can't reach zero, but in terms of footprint, but we're generating quite a bit of our energy from a solar farm.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
I'll admit, when the COVID-19 vaccines were first introduced, I was a bit skeptical. I wondered, how did they create these vaccines so quickly? I heard so many theories and was suffocated by all the noise. But once I did my own research and began speaking to my friends in the field, I got the facts and decided to take the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. I am now proud to say that I'm fully vaccinated. I am one who believes in choice, but I also know that with each choice comes consequences. COVID-19 vaccines have been proven to provide a layer of protection against COVID-19. We have been in this situation for far too long now. It is time to get our lives back. We still need to social distance, wash our hands, and mask up, but having an extra layer of protection with the COVID-19 vaccines, we should feel more happy that we're protecting ourselves, our family and friends, our colleagues, and our clients.
Let's roll up our sleeves and get back to living.
To news from the region now, the Guyana Public Service Union has taken government to task over its just announced wage increase for public workers. Gordon Mosley of News Source Guyana has more.
The Guyana Public Service Union has slammed the announced 7% across-the-board salary increase for public servants as shameless and insensitive. GPSU President Patrick Yard, in an interview with News Source this evening, said while the government has offered a 7% increase for 2021, it has offered absolutely nothing for 2020. And that is more than insulting to the public servants of Guyana, who have been working throughout the pandemic over the past 2 years.
First of all, let me say that this is another shameless display of the government. And it is one that we have been putting up with for quite some time with governments. It's not confined to one. And it is one for the entire nation to look at. You know, when they had election campaigning, you had big slogans by this government of 50% increase of public servants. 50%. And after being in office for more than a year, covering a 2-year period, 2020 and 2021, because we're in the month of 2021, all they could come up with is 7%.
And finally, doctors in India's capital, New Delhi, warn of an alarming rise in respiratory illness among children as a result of poor air quality. More in this report from Reuters TV.
India temporarily shut 5 coal-fired power plants on Wednesday to try to combat the chronic winter smog that has enveloped New Delhi. It's threatening the lives of residents. Pediatricians at this hospital in one of the world's most polluted capitals are seeing an alarming increase in children with allergies, wheezing, respiratory and breathing issues, and say the yearly smog poses a danger to their medium and long-term growth, both physical and cognitive. This is Dr. Arvind Guntra of the Max Super Speciality Hospital.
So, it's hit them really bad. So the number of patients that we are getting now because of respiratory infections, both in the OPD or in the emergency, there has been a 3- to 4-fold rise in their number of visits to the hospital. This is directly linked to the high levels of pollution that the city of Delhi and NCR is witnessing in the last 7 to 10 days.
The order to temporarily shut the power stations came from a panel of the Federal Environment Ministry.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.